Hello, fellow warriors. Welcome back to FanZcene. Greg here, and today I have for you digital libraries can be easily wiped out. Yes, they can, and that's why I'm not a big fan of digital purchasing digital in any way, shape, or form. For certain reasons like that. But Style Section, a good friend of the channel and a supporter here, sent me an article. It relates to our Australian friends. This is to all of our Australian viewers and Australian friends out there about some digital libraries just being wiped out, gone, just gone. And you guys know how I feel about this. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up, and thank you, Style Section, for sending this over to me. And let's get into this. It says, my whole library is wiped out. What it means to own movies and TV in the age of streaming services. Interesting title. I love it. Love it. It says ownership rights are buried in the fine print, and downloading or buying physical copies may be the only way to keep your favorites. Exactly. I'm the physical copy guy, but yes, downloading a digital copy, make sure you could do that with the digital copy if you do digital. This is from Josh Teller from The Guardian, Australian media, and we'll scroll down and it says, what rights do you have to the digital movies, TV shows, and music you buy online? Absolutely none. You have no rights whatsoever. None. At all. Says that question was on the minds of Testra TV box office customers this month after the company announced it would shut down the service in June. Customers were told that unless they moved over to another service, Fetch, they would no longer be able to access the films and TV shows they had bought. Interesting. This sounds strangely familiar to me. Oh yeah, what was it with Crunchyroll and Funimation? What was it that Funimation shut down and everybody had to be moved over to Crunchyroll or whatever for anime lovers here everywhere. I mean, they like all those people that bought all those anime stuff lost them all because they were forced to go over to another streaming service with all their digitals, and none of that was ported over because of license rights and everything. And it looks like the same thing is happening here in Australia, but on a larger scale with movies, not just anime, but like movies and stuff like in general. You will never own digital. I'm sorry, you will never, ever, ever own digital. Nobody will ever convince me that. Nobody will ever convince me of that in any way, shape, or form. This isn't simply a case of Netflix removing Friends from the service when a content agreement runs out. These were films and shows people had bought with the expectation they could watch them whenever they want it indefinitely. No, you won't, because there's so many companies out there in the world of streaming and digital nowadays that it's just like some of them are succeeding, some of them are flopping, some of them have to fold into other companies purchase them, sprout up, and then license agreements run out, and therefore these will not be on this service. They'll be ported over to another service or something you may have bought. Their license agreements run up and they're no longer going to offer that to sell on that service, so therefore you've lost that completely. It's just absolutely insane to me. It continues by saying Vicky Russell posted on X, Twitter, last week, saying she was being asked by Testra to pay $200 for Fetch to retain access to what she said was $2,500 worth of purchases digitally. Good God. It says years and years of purchasing movies and my whole library is just wiped out. What a shitty thing to do, she posted. Exactly. That is a very shitty thing to do. Holy crap. She later said Testra had contacted her and offered a free Fetch box, which she acknowledged was a reasonable resolution. I personally do not think that was a reasonable resolution. I understand why she would, but she spent $2,500 on digital library, and she may lose all of them. I don't know if she's got them back or not with this. Why would you say, oh, that's reasonable resolution? You get a free Fetch box. Cool. I get a free Fetch box. I can spend another $2,500 on digital copies that, what happens when Fetch disappears and another company comes in and there's another $2,500 you spent is gone. And they say, well, you got to pay another $300, $400, $500 because, money's going up at inflation and everything. If you want to get, this service and maybe possibly get some of those movies back that you bought, because not all of them will be licensed. Some of them may be transferred over. I don't know the whole thing, but some of these movies may be transferred over, but some of them may not be because of the licensed content agreement. And if your whole digital library is gone, then it's gone, and you spent more money and you think it's a reasonable resolution that you got a free box. I personally don't. I personally don't think that. It says a spokesperson for Tesla said it was a rights issue. Imagine that, rights issue, which meant customers had to move to a similar content service to keep accessing the content. I absolutely hate the word content. I love that we call movies, entertainment, art, content. It's content. It's not. Absolutely. I hate that. I hate that freaking word. Customers had not been able to make new purchases since the end of September last year. The spokesperson said, with customers being migrated to Fetch since December, you can't buy shit. You're losing your digital stuff. You can't buy nothing new because you have to migrate over to a new service that you didn't even want to begin with, and you're not guaranteed to have everything you bought over on that new service. What a time to be alive. What a golden age of streaming and digital. Golden age. Everything's online at our tips of our fingers. We can watch this. We can discover that. We can do this. We can lose that. We can have this company merge with this company. We can have a bunch of new entertainment that just absolutely freaking sucks. We can lose our favorites. So we can have digital decay of files of movies that were shot digitally in the late 90s, and now they're gone forever, and only that DVD is possible. But streaming and digital is golden age. I freaking love it. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. So much better than a video store, so much better than a physical copy, so much better than anything. Digital all the way. Fuck digital. Anyways, it continues. It says, we partnered with Fetch as our new entertainment platform, and the vast majority of movies or shows customers have bought on their Tesla TV box office can be migrated across, the spokesperson said. Some of them, not all of them, apparently, looks like. Content may become unavailable. Imagine that. It says, in the age of VHS, DVDs, and Blu-ray, when someone bought a movie from a store, it was theirs for as long as it was playable, and they're still very, very much playable to this day, and they're still selling Blu-rays and DVDs, and in some cases, VHSs and Laserdisc is actually coming back on pretty strong amongst people as well, too. It's physical is still out there, people. I hate when the articles assume that it's not being sold anymore, but in Australia, it is fair in Australia because Disney did pull out physical media wise in Australia. But that, I know that sucks for Australian people, but that's no big deal loss because, with Disney, most of their new movies suck. They've been flopping, and they're ashamed of their older stuff that people actually want because it doesn't pertain to the modern audience. So, and that's the thing, is like the new titles, aren't really selling, and I get that's why some people say that's why physical media is dead and stuff, and that's what does worry me, because these new movies, these new titles, other than like movies like Oppenheimer, Barbie, Super Mario Brothers, Dune 2, which I'm sure will sell megabytes, these movies were successful in the theaters, and they will more than likely be successfully sold on 4K, Blu-ray, and DVD. But most of the movies that was there 14 flops last year or something in the summer? I can't remember, but all those movies flopped. Those movies are not going to sell on DVD or Blu-ray or 4K because they didn't sell in the theaters, and most people rented those digitally. So, that's what worries me about physical media. And because they see that stuff, not of the stuff that are from the boutique label side, and the older movies that studios actually do release on Blu-ray, DVD, those are selling and selling very well. But they don't take into account to that because they care about new stuff. And that sucks. And this continues by saying, even in the digital era before streaming, people could, and generally still can, yes, in some cases, buy files of movies, TV shows, and music and download them. You can still download some of those today. Barring the digital rights management locks some companies placed on those files, yes, some companies, they won't let you do it. They won't let you download. You could generally continue to play them for as long as a player could read them, but I will never do digital. I just can't. It says, now firmly in the streaming age, ownership is largely subject to the terms and conditions people often do not read. Exactly. You got to read those terms and conditions, people. I know it's long and it can be annoying and it can be a hassle for some, but you got to read those. A lecturer in computing and information systems at Melbourne University, Sinead Coney, said, whenever you click to purchase or rent online content, there's always a box somewhere saying terms and conditions apply, just like with everything else you do online. Exactly. It is not reasonable to expect consumers to read these terms and conditions, but in the case of Tesla TV box office, they had a whole section on how they were able to withdraw content. Whoa, you're telling me that in the terms and conditions for all these, for Tesla here is that they can remove it whenever they want. Yeah, we'll draw it. It doesn't matter if you spend $2,500 on there. We're going to get rid of it if we can, if we have to. Wow, digital, such a beautiful time we live in. Anyways, it continues by saying such provisions are fairly standard among tech companies. Very true. Customers can rent or buy films via Amazon Prime, and the company's terms of service states the content will generally continue to be available to you for download or streaming, but may become unavailable, and Amazon will not be liable to you. In other words, if you buy something digitally or stream something digitally, we are not liable for how much money you spent on all those copies that you bought or rented or whatever, because licensing issues, rights issues. If we have to remove something, we'll remove it, and you will not get a refund. You will not. You have lost that money. You have lost that movie. You have lost that song, because you have lost that book, because it's not yours. You don't own it. It's a long-term rental for these companies, and I just cannot see spending all that money. If I'm going to spend lots of money on something, I want to spend it on something physical that I can have and own, and that I know I will take care of and enjoy for many, many years to come, until maybe, I pass on. Plain and simple. That's the way I see it. It says Apple's iTunes, which allows users to download files they have bought, has a similar clause, and says while the content is unlikely to become unavailable, people should ensure the ability to continue enjoying content by downloading all purchases to a device and backing it up. Exactly. I do know Apple does this. I know it's not everything, because, like you said, some have rights issues, license issues, and some of these studios won't allow you to download. But I know Apple does do that, where you can download something you've bought and you can back it up. And I highly recommend, if you do that, if you do digital, if you buy a digital song, a digital movie, a digital book, make sure it's something you can actually download and you can back up, and that way you will have that digital copy for as long as you have that digital copy. You can have it on your own service, your own storage, your own little Plex server or something like that, for you to have forever, for as long as you want it, and you don't have to be beholden to Apple or Amazon or these other companies that will say, hey, that digital file you bought, well, we're getting rid of that, and we're not going to refund it because you don't own it and we lost the rights to it. So, oh well. But if you want to re-rent it on this service or that service, or buy it on this service, you can go do that. But it doesn't mean you're going to keep it. So make sure you can, if you go digital, make sure you can download it and back it up. And in some cases, you can actually make a physical copy off of that digital copy that you got. So that is highly important in my mind if you go digital that way. And it says, in March, game developer Ubisoft outraged hardcore fans of the 10-year-old online racing game The Crew when it shut down access to customers who had paid for the game and continued to play it. Ubisoft justified its move, saying it would allow the company to focus resources on newer or more popular titles. Yes, I know gamers have it really bad because everything is going digital with gaming, and they nickel and dime you with digital purchases, everything, stuff like this. And with stuff like this, these gaming companies, this movie studios, they don't care about old stuff. They truly do not care about old stuff. And, once it's used up and they've made all the money they could possibly see they made off of it, it's gone. So all that digital crap you bought, gone too. Because all they care about is what's new to them, what's new, what else they can make money about, which is what a business does. This is what a business does. But it's just horrible that they do that, and you lose stuff like that in gaming. You lose stuff like that in movies and TVs and music and books and comics and stuff like that's gone digital. It says the avenue of appeal are relatively limited. A spokesperson for the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission told Guardian Australia businesses should not mislead consumers about their rights exactly under Australian consumer law when goods and services are offered under a licensing agreement. Make sure you read those terms and conditions, people. Make sure you read it. It says, very clear disclosure. Tesla's announcement led many to X to suggest another avenue, online piracy. Yes, that is very high. Online piracy is very, very high these days, thanks to digital and streaming. And I often get comments saying that, you don't have to go physical, you can pirate it, and this and all that. And I understand, I get where people's coming from, but you have to understand, because I don't think sometimes people understand where I'm coming from. I'm a physical owner type guy. I like to have a physical copy of a novel, of a comic, of a movie, a Blu-ray, DVD, a CD, vinyl, stuff like that. I prefer that physical ownership, and if you go digital, if you go streaming, if you do pirate, that is fine. That's awesome. That's what most of the masses do. That. Me personally, I'm not a follower of the masses. I go my own way. I have my own thoughts and my own beliefs of what I want to do. And we don't have to agree, because like I've always said, if we all agree and thought the same and act the same and did the same thing, life would suck and be boring. I like to have conversations. I like to have discourse. I'd like to do that. And I prefer physical copy. And I would prefer, if I can't find a physical copy of something, then I may have to wait a while before I figure out how to watch that or something. And I won't buy digital. The most digital I do is on occasion I will use the slip inside the Blu-ray or the 4K to do the free digital copy they give you once you purchase it. And but a lot of times I also give those codes away as well, because I just prefer the physical. And I have no judgment. I really have no judgment against people who do digital and streaming and stuff. I really don't. I mean, if that's what you like, that's what you're comfortable with, that's fine, because I do understand, storage space is limited in your houses. Not everybody can buy everything physically. I would say, please buy your favorites on physical. Please buy your favorites on physical, whether you have 5 favorites or 10 favorites or 20 favorites, buy them on a physical, because at least you'll have that favorite forever. Not everything you watch and listen to, read, you need to own. You don't need to own everything. And so I understand where people are going this, but I have also seen a turn in people where I talk about physical media research and stuff. Is I've seen a turn in certain people. It may not be huge or whatever, but I've seen in some younger kids and some people saying, you know what, they're fed up with this streaming, they're fed up with digital, they're fed up with how this is done. They want a physical copy. They online piracy. They're buying pirate Blu-rays and DVDs because they would prefer a copy of like that. I see that growing. I see that. And I do think there will be a bit of a resurgence. And we've seen, as I just covered, that the sales of physical media have actually leveled. They have been falling. Nobody's ever denied they have been falling, but they kind of leveled and didn't drop as sharp as they expected it. And 4K sales have risen. We just learned that SDS entered a deal with Fred Meyer and them are going to have movies in grocery stores again. A dedicated wall of movies, and in GameStop. And I know a lot of people don't like GameStop, and that's understandable. They're not the best company in the world, but I understand that why people don't like that. But they're trying to, the SDS is actually still trying to get physical media out to the masses, because there is still a want and need for it. It may not be as big or mainstream as it once was, but there is still a want and need for it. And I think a lot of people are starting to get fed up with losing their digital libraries and the age of streaming and losing. Like we learned, most people that use streaming just watch old stuff. They don't watch new stuff. They watch old stuff, and these streaming services want you to watch their new stuff. So they don't care about the old stuff. Don't do digital. Don't do digital. Buy physical copies. Buy your favorites on physical. Plain and simple. That's freaking easy. Buy your favorites on physical. Make sure you get a downloadable copy of something you buy digital, and make a backup copy. And therefore, you don't have to worry about crap like this in your whole digital libraries being wiped out. And people say, well, piracy and the blah, 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 blah. Like they'll run around speech saying, well, if they just make it clearer, just buy physical and buy digital copies that you can actually download. That way you have forever the way you want it. That's why I see it. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. Are you getting fed up with digital things being taken from you? In Australia, you guys seem to be having it way worse in Australia than most countries right now. But let me know what you guys think about all this truly in the comment section down below. And if you liked what you saw here, maybe consider hitting that like button or subscribing and hitting that bell for notifications. That would be awesome if I earned your guys' subscriptions, or possibly share the video out for everybody to see, or join and become a channel member, because that would help out my channel immensely. Thank you, and shout out to all my channel members. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys for being channel members here and for all of your support. And to everybody watching, whether you like me, hated me, or like this video, or hated this video, I thank you for sticking this long wherever you all are. Please have a great, safe, happy, healthy day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Always support physical media. It truly is the superior format. Godspeed.